Welcome back. In today's video, which has been highly requested, we're going to look at the full potential of the 270 Weatherby Magnum. Now, if you talk to any owner or fan of a 270 Weatherby, well, let's just say they don't have any issues getting the full potential, but I just wanted to show what this very underrated Weatherby cartridge can do, and who knows, maybe this cartridge might be in your future. Let's do a brief little history on the 270 Weatherby. Roy Weatherby's first Weatherby cartridge, named after him, was this one. It came just before the 257, the 300, and the 7mm. It's very interesting that Roy decided to roll out the 270 first. I've got to imagine in the 40s that, I don't know, maybe 270 Winchester's heyday. Roy wanted to make a super magnum version of it. So what does the 270 Weatherby most resemble? Well, it shares its same case size with a 257 Weatherby, which is on the left. It is definitely smaller than the big brother 300 Weatherby. And honestly, the 257 Weatherby, the 7mm Weatherby, and the 270 Weatherby most resemble a 7mm Remington Magnum. There is one reloading book that I felt like shows what the actual max of a 270 Weatherby is. It's got to be from Nosler's book. Let's just go to a 130 grain. According to Nosler, mid 3,400 feet per second. Quite the difference from Hornady's book. Then a 140 grain at almost 3,300 feet per second. A 150 grain. Now with a 1 in 10 twist, a 150 grain at sea level, this is about as heavy as you're going to be able to do. Oh, just over 3,200 feet per second. So what are the ideal powders that will give you the best results in 270 Weatherby? Here are 4 of them that you can't go wrong with. Obviously, this guy here, this is probably the most renowned powder for Weatherby cartridges, and 270 Weatherby is no exception with IMAR 7828 SSC. Awesome option. H4831SC. In my experience, you get almost the same exact velocity as IMAR 7828 SSC. With the 270 Weatherby being as overbore as it is, it actually does benefit from using a slower burning powder. So while 7828 SSC is really good, you can get a little more velocity and still have a 100% burn rate by bumping up to N565 or H1000. All right, here we go. I know a few of you are rolling your eyes. Oh, great, another Gordon's reloading tool video. Yep, I keep getting people wanting me to do this, so let's do it. 270 Weatherby with a 130 grain Barnes TTSX with the renowned, amazing IMR 7828 SSC. Let's take a look at what the top max velocity really is. According to Gordon's reloading tool with a 26-inch barrel, 3,430 feet per second. That is smoking fast. I want to look at one more powder with a 130 grain class bullet and 270 Weatherby. Since this cartridge is so overbore, we're going to go with a slower burning powder, something like Weatherby N565. And lo and behold, we're pushing the velocity a little bit more, about 25 feet per second more. So a little over 3,455 feet per second. Really good. Check out the energy. 3,447 foot-pounds of energy. Obviously 100% burnt propellant and 100% load ratio as well. Now let's go to a relatively high BC bullet that still works with a 1 in 10 twist. We're going to look at the 145 grain ELDX. And the powder of choice we are using here is H1000. And as you can see, the max velocity at 65,000 PSI is right at 3,300 feet per second, 3,520 foot-pounds of energy. The load ratio is basically 104%. I want to see if that's accurate. Let's see. Might be a little hard to tell. There we go, 75.4 grains, close enough to 75.5. Now, I don't have a 270 Weatherby, but I have the next best thing. I have a 257 Weatherby case, so the case capacity is going to be really similar, other than the neck. So let's see. I'm going to have to tap that one in there. Stand by. There we go. Let's try not to spill a bunch of powder. And let's put this into some light. That is definitely not 104% case capacity. It looks around 100%. Like it's full, but it's nowhere close to the neck. It's like right at the top of the shoulder. All right, so the rage of late is to shoot really high BC bullets, whether it's the 165 ABLR and 270 or the 170 Burger. All of them, well, unless you're at really high elevation like me, you're gonna definitely need a faster twist. Ideally 1 1/8. But for kicks and giggles, let's say you either have a fast twist 270 Weatherby or you're shooting it at like 6, 7, 8,000 feet. What can the 270 Weatherby do with the 170 Burger? All right, guys, let's have a talk about N570. I know Reloader 26 has not been available for the vast majority of people. People have gone to N570 to get these ultra magical high velocities. And you know what? It can do it. N570 is really awesome for velocity, but only in certain cartridges. These powder kernels are gigantic, which I will show you in a sec. And for most cartridges, this powder is too slow burning to get its full potential. But the 270 Weatherby, all right, let's check out GRT. What does it say for a 170 Burger? By the way, we are going to seat it out a bit further. Now with all the Weatherby freebore, it's not a big deal if it's seated out at 3.5 inches instead of like 3.340. But using, yes, N570, we are getting over 3,100 feet per second while staying under 65,000 PSI. And yes, we have 100% burnt propellant, also 100% load ratio. We're gonna check that, put some N570 in that case. Here is, well, I don't know if you can tell. No, but it says 76.5 grains, so close enough. GRT said 76.6. Can it fit in our 270 Weatherby case, aka 257 Weatherby case? Well, would you look at that? That is surprisingly fits. It's not even into the neck. So GRT seems to be 100% on with this one, being at 100% case fill. I just want to show the ballistics for each cartridge that it could compete with the 270 Weatherby if the 270 Weatherby had a fast twist or if you're shooting it at high elevation. So a 170 grain EOL in a 6.8 Western, topping out at around 3,070 feet per second with a 26-inch barrel, 3,558 foot-pounds. You can see the numbers, 500, really good stuff. Out to 1,000, 1,793 feet per second, 1,214 foot-pounds of energy. And then the 6.52 is mils in drop at sea level and a 10-mile-per-hour wind adjustment, 1.49. 7 PRC. Yeah, we're just going to compare it to 7 PRC. But I promise, guys, I'm being as fair as I can, with the caveat that we're using a 175 grain Burger bullet. I understand you can obviously use heavier, higher BC bullets, so we get that. Muzzle velocity 3,075 feet per second with a 26-inch barrel, 3,675 foot-pounds of energy. It will have the most energy out of the three. 500 yards, really good stuff, but I don't know. About 60 foot-pounds difference between 7 PRC and 6.8 Western with this specific example. Out to 1,000 yards, the bullet's going a tad bit slower than a 6.8 Western and a little bit more energy because it's a heavier bullet, 1241. And look at that. Basically, they're identical in drop and wind. There's no difference whatsoever. Lastly, 270 Weatherby. Yep, we're going to have it in a custom gun with a 1 1/8 twist. Using M570, 3,115 feet per second, 3,663 foot-pounds, really close to the 7 PRC. At 500 yards, it's going the fastest of the three and has the most energy, barely. At 1,000 yards, the bullet's going 1,826 feet per second, and again has the most energy, 1,259. And then the slightest of advantage in drop, 6.31 versus 6.5s of the others. And just the slightest of advantage in wind adjustment. Pretty sweet.